Yeah, there's no shortage of Cane talk this time of year. Right?
No, we're doing a special. This is the special Screen Heat Miami Canes edition. The U in the house,
Yes.
breaking all odds. Not for us, because we knew what was going to happen. And there's still haters, but here we are on the precipice of the finals. Big game tomorrow. I'm Kevin Sharpley.
J.L. Martinez.
And we have a special guest in the house.
Yes, D Money, who is I want to say the co-founder, right? And one of the lead hosts of CanesInSight with us today.
Yeah, happy to be here, guys. Glad to talk to some Canes, and obviously a huge time for the program as we head to Arizona. A place Miami has not had a lot of success, 0-4 in the Fiesta Bowl. So they've righted a lot of wrongs this year, and this is one of the last ones on the checklist. So probably I say this is the second one on the checklist. Win this one, and then the last check, we all know what it is. So conquered a lot of demons. This is just one more on the road.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, this is a big one. The last game was, I think, one of the biggest because that Ohio State, I was actually at the school at the time, a student, when we got robbed. I did a music video with four of the Canes called Here Comes the Hurricanes. We'll post it on the website.
Nice.
Daryl Jones, Mike Rump, Najee Davenport, James Lewis.
Yeah, I think Daryl Jones and Mike Rump Mike Rump is on staff. I think Daryl Jones is on staff, or at least affiliated with staff as like a chaplain. I saw both of them in Texas A&M, so they're both still around.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I think we'll go back and tap them. We might have to do a follow-up documentary.
Yeah, we should. Yeah. When I was at the U, I actually took a theater class with Najee Davenport, believe it or not.
There you go.
Wow.
It was actually about art direction and art design at the Ring Theater.
Me.
Yeah. He was into it. It was great.
We bring it around full circle, but I was a Cane at the time. We shot that music video, 35 millimeter, artists from Mo Thugs, Platinum Group.
Yeah.
And, we thought that was it. It was ready to go. And then, boom, we got that stolen. Then we got sanctioned. That's what a lot of people don't realize. The sanctions really hurt the program. And so it wasn't just that, there were kind of misfires and mismanagement in these things. Those sanctions really hurt us in recruiting. And so it took a little while for the Canes to get back on track, but we are back. And we're very happy to have our special guest, D Money, also known as
Danny Enriquez is my government name.
Enriquez.
I think that was when I used to be on the message boards when I was a kid, like in high school, and I had the name D Money on the message board. So the name doesn't change when you grow up. So I've just had the same name now. Just people call me that still. So
we got to go with D Money, especially now, because that's what it's all about. We're in the house. We're in the money. We have to mention our sponsors: Kajik Multimedia,
Chemical,
Cinevision,
and the Miami Media and Film Market.
And here we go. It's time to go straight in. We're going to start with you, D Money. Let's give us a recap of the season up to date. Your thoughts on the season as a whole, players, and then moving forward, what you think of the championship Miami Hurricanes, the playoffs so far, and then the playoffs moving forward. I know that's a lot, but let's.
Sure. No, listen, it was a team. Last year you had a great quarterback in Cam Ward. It was the first pick of the draft, and you weren't able to get to the playoffs because your defense was not very good. So that was a disappointing season, given that you had the number one offense in the country, number one player really in the country in Cam Ward. So you don't always have that type of offense. So that was a tough pill to swallow for Miami fans and for the coaches and players. They go to the lab. They really revamped the defense, brought in Corey Heatherman as defensive coordinator, brought in a lot of new players from the transfer portal, both on offense and defense, replaced Cam Ward with Carson Beck, who was not as dynamic as far as putting up these huge numbers, but this guy was now 36-5 as a starting quarterback. So you brought in a guy that knew how to win. He was experienced. He'd been in big games. So was really the perfect guy to guide you through this schedule where we've played 3 top 10 teams already, another top 10 team on deck with Mississippi, and still you had to play your rivals as well, Florida State. So a lot of big games this year, and he's been able to shepherd Miami through that. But that was the offseason. First game, Notre Dame really look a lot like you look now as far as the formula. They were running the ball. They were playing great defense, physically just dominant in terms of knocking people back, very tough and physical on both sides of the ball, even the receivers blocking. Just a very, you could tell when you watch Miami play that it's Miami because of just the way they hit, the way they operate. And that started with Notre Dame. Win that game at home. Everybody was there. It was a big event. You look like you're going to be one of the top 2 teams in the country, top 1 team in the country. At that time, Ohio State was number 1. Miami was number 2, according to a lot of people, not ranked, but in terms of national perception. A lot of analysts had us in that top 2. You end up losing to Louisville. Carson Beck throws 4 interceptions, lose to SMU shortly thereafter, 12 penalties in that game, get off track. Then since then, you get back to where Miami's been pretty much at least the whole beginning of the season, where running the ball, protecting Carson Beck, making good decisions, and defensively being dominant. So it was like a blip in the middle where mistakes really submarine what this team could be. But the team you're seeing now is just a very finely tuned, battle-tested, sharpened version of what you saw earlier in the season. And that's one of the top teams in the country, having beaten Ohio State, who was ranked number 1 throughout that stretch.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to say, because obviously, like you said, the season started off with a bang with Notre Dame. There was, like you said, that dip. And then once again, that last month where Miami, at least the last few years, have traditionally slid right towards the end of November. But we got through that sort of gauntlet. And then what was your reaction when you actually saw that they made the field of 12? Because I think that shocked even a lot of diehard Miami fans, right?
Yeah, I had confidence. I had mentioned that I thought that the selection show was sort of like a TV show where people were trying to treat it like a legal proceeding when they didn't realize that it was, like you guys are in movies and that kind of side of the world. It's almost like the Muppets or like professional wrestling, which I watch a lot, which is like the show is filming a show, right? So the show is that you watch when they watch the Muppets, it's them trying to put on the Muppet Show, right? And they film kind of behind the scenes. Wrestling's kind of the same way. They're putting on the wrestling matches, but things are going the way. The selection show is really a show, meaning, and you guys, this is your business, why I'm bringing it up, is like they're making a lot of money on ads. They're doing a lot without that much, spending that much on production. But they had a weekly show that got huge ratings that was pretty cheap to make, and they added some drama to it. And really that show was just making the second show, which was the actual playoff. So I think when you looked at it that way, you understood why some of the stuff might not have made any sense. And I kept saying, and if Miami takes care of business, they'll flip Miami over Notre Dame. We just you got to handle our own part of the business. Don't worry about the logic and all that. They're going to twist themselves in a million pretzels because it's a weekly show. They have to put on a show and talk to people. So some of the stuff they say is not going to make sense because they're forced to put out that weekly content to sell the ads. So then when you put the tournament together, you want to put together the best teams and also most entertaining teams, just like the best tournament. I think Miami, with what they bring to the table, was one of those 12 teams. And of course, they deserved it for a million reasons that we got into every day on the show. So
head.
Exactly. So ultimately, Miami gets in the tournament. A lot of great ratings on that show. And then now that they're in it, they're also getting a lot of great ratings on their games because they're an exciting team. I mean, you have Carson Beck's a very known player. The Malachi Toney at wide receiver is one of the young stars of college football. His jersey's selling like crazy. Heard his jersey selling actually 5 times with Cam Ward signed, and Cam Ward's jersey sold for at Hurricane Team Store, and Cam Ward obviously is a superstar. So that's how popular Malachi Toney is, the young freshman from Miami Gardens. The Ruben Bain on defense, Akeem Messidor, their name brand players, best defensive end tandem in the nation. So it's a team with a lot of brand recognition, a lot of name brand players, and then just merit based when it comes to meat and potatoes, running the ball, stopping the run, playing traditional football. They're also either among the best or the best at the basics. So that's why they're here. One of the final 4 teams. Favorite in this game, which is uncomfortable for a lot of Miami fans because they play better as the underdog than as the favorite. But we'll see on Thursday.
Right. Although there's been a lot of trash talk not making us the favorite. So maybe that's helping on social media. Right.
Exactly.
There is a lot of trash talk, and there's always the pundits. I couldn't believe some of the analysts siding with Ole Miss. And these are a lot of the ESPN analysts, by the way. Everyone kind of felt if, Georgia made it through, that would be a harder, nut to swallow. But look, Ole Miss, just looking at, who they both have played, I think UM does notch them out. But I do have a question. This is a Malachi Tony question. I feel he was robbed freshman of the year. He was ACC freshman of the year. But, saying got it, not even a true freshman, mind you.
Right. Yep.
Kind of like a sophomore. What do you think about that? Do you feel he was robbed? Do you think Malachi Tony was robbed?
Look, at the end of the day, he's still playing and saying is not. So I think ultimately, from his standpoint, he got the one he cared more about. I think with Tony, he's not played as well as he wants to play as far as fumbles, things that he had not done since he was a freshman in high school. And I think he has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. He did have a chip on his shoulder because of the award. I know that because I saw his mom tweeting about it. But I think he has even more of a chip on his shoulder now because he just hasn't played as well as he's capable of. Now he's blocking, he's doing a million things. He's a total football player, total winner. But I think this game is the game where you might see him return a punt or have a long catch or have a throw a touchdown, right? Something that's going to be spectacular because he's that kind of guy. And I do think of all the players on the team, he's the one that's probably the most upset, not with how things have gone. He's ecstatic to have won. He's a team player. He's not a stats player, but I think he's just ecstatic to have, or he's eager to show what he can personally do on the field.
Yeah, I can say, look, he's the first UM player, freshman, 1,000+ yards. Nothing against saying, but we did. I feel we dominated Ohio, to be honest. On both sides of the line of scrimmage, they did have a rally in the third quarter, but that was snuffed out very quickly. Yeah. So I do feel that he was robbed on that, but maybe that's a good thing because what you're saying could be right.
That drive.
That's the way we. Right. Yeah, that's the U. That's what we rally against adversity. So
it's just from the U stands for underdog. I think that's when we play our best. Right?
For sure. So let's talk about this upcoming game, Ole Miss, UM. How are you feeling about that matchup?
Yeah, I think Miami's the better team. They're favored. The trouble with Ole Miss is they're very good on offense, probably the best offense we played, maybe top 3 in the country. The style they play is very tough to deal with. They have a lot of quick passes, spread you out all over the field. So if you're a team that relies on your defensive ends like Miami does, their 2 best players, Ruben Bain and Akeem Messidor, getting after it. When you get rid of the ball fast and that's your identity on offense, it makes it harder for those guys to get to the quarterback because they can smoke the tackle all day. But if the ball's out fast, they're not going to have as much of an impact. So that aspect of it, plus they play very fast at Ole Miss. So these are bigger defensive ends with Bain and Messidor. They're over 270 pounds. So a lot of plays, a lot of running around. They play so hard. You can get tired that way. So I just think the way Ole Miss plays neutralizes to a degree our greatest strength, which is our defensive ends. But when you look at the whole team, Miami has the better team. Their balance is better. They can play offense in many different ways. They can throw the ball. They pass protect. They run the ball. Ole Miss can run the ball and they can throw the ball, but they're not as stout offensively as far as their offensive line, and their defense is not nearly as good as Miami's defense. So I just think balance-wise, they have a great kicker. Both teams have good kickers. Ole Miss's kicker is excellent. But really, overall, I think Miami's a better team. It's going to be about whether they can impose their game on Ole Miss.
Yeah, no, I agree because I think, one thing that probably is going to be the difference maker is there's going to be 2 or 3 really special plays that'll probably decide this game, like we saw with Keontae Scott last week, right? With that pick 6 that came out of nowhere. And that, talk about the crossover, like a lot of these Miami plays that are like almost cinematic. It's like you're watching a movie unfold. And maybe because we're biased, because we're Miami fans, but I don't feel that same kind of entertainment value when I watch, an Alabama play or a Georgia play. It's just something about the Canes that, there's going to be this one moment when they need it the most and someone's going to rise, either an established star or someone's going to come out of nowhere and make some kind of game-changing play to kind of pull it in a certain direction, right?
Well, I mean, you guys are on this side with the films. If you look at the ratings for the documentaries they did one on Alabama, Auburn. They did one on Notre Dame that involved Miami. They did one at SMU and they did 2 on Miami. Well, really 3 because one of them was with Notre Dame. It was like a Notre Dame Miami one, and the 2 that only Miami were by far the highest rated out of all these. Florida did one as well. Actually, right. University of Florida did one as well for Netflix. So when you look at all those, the Miami ones were by far the most iconic, the most quoted, the most replayed. They're still replay those quite a bit. So to your point, again, just looking at it from a filmmaking perspective, Miami had 2 of those that were by far the most successful of those college football documentaries, and they did a ton. And those were 2 that stood out.
Those 30 for 30s, the U at a point was number 1, and now it's notched back up to number 1. And so that does say a lot. And the style of play over the years, as JL just stated, I never really thought of it as cinematic, but it has been cinematic because they do have those moments. And, you even think about the Ohio State game. Before the game, everyone kind of harkened back to that time, again, that we were robbed. And it was like theater. It really was like theater. And every game that we've played now in the playoffs has felt that way. And so I see this game coming up, kind of feeling that way. And I know the ratings are going to go through the roof. I think that people who may not even be into college sports are connecting, roping in on this narrative.
Yeah, it's become culture, essentially, like part of our...
It has, a part of the zeitgeist. And so for us, that's really exciting. I did mention, I'm pushing to do this documentary, kind of hearkening back to, it said, and this is part of my next question there, D-Money, harkens back to what's considered the best, if not the best, one of the best, college sports team in history. And that's the 2000-2001 Hurricanes that garnered the most NFL draft, not only most NFL draft picks, but then those picks went on to become legendary, a lot of those picks. And a lot of those picks, of course, had storied careers. And even if they weren't storied careers, really incredible careers. I just heard this statistic over the past couple of years that particular team could have potentially gone to and played in the NFL because the second and third string people on those teams were good enough to play first string on other teams. So how are you feeling about, kind of hearkening back to those teams of the past and then this new era where, Cristobal said, we are going to, give honor to the past, but this is the new direction. This is a new team.
Yeah, I would say it's funny. Those old teams, and it's not just Miami. I think all the great old teams would probably beat the new teams by a lot because not just Miami, it's all like Alabama, LSU, whoever's on top because of the portal, your backups, if they're good, they leave. So it's just harder to have good backups that are real star players waiting their turn. So you don't and plus guys didn't go as pro. You look at 2001, guys didn't go pro as early. So like Ed Reed was 24 that year, even though he was a Hall of Fame player. So it's just hard to replicate that in this era. I think that team, just from a college football standpoint, would destroy all these teams of recent years. And certainly with the portal, it's gotten even worse because I say worse. It's better. I think it's better to watch because teams are more even. But for as far as like the top teams, you don't have all that talent accumulated because you can't afford to pay all the players and they don't want to stay if they're not going to play. So that's just those teams I think will forever be the best teams, with 2001 Miami Hurricanes being the best of all teams in any university, just because the way the rules have changed. It's going to be, unless something changes, you never know, it's going to be hard to get back to that level of dominance.
Yeah. Well, when I say best teams, not just University of Miami teams, but college teams of all time.
Yeah, they're the best college team of all time.
Yeah, every time they put one of those lists of the top university, top college teams, there are always one or two is those 2001 Canes. So,
and I just don't think it'll be beat. Like if you look at a lot of people talk about 2019 LSU, which was still before the portal and still before NIL. So that's like the last of these pre-new era teams. Even that team, because the way players started going pro more often, they didn't have the defense. Like Miami had old players on defense that were great. Ed Reed, 24, is the example I would use. Sean Taylor, who in my view was the best player I've ever seen, he was a freshman, didn't play on that team. Whereas look at LSU, their defense, their best player was a true freshman named Derek Stingley, who's a great player, was a top 3 pick Texans, now a Pro Bowl player, but he was a true freshman. Whereas Sean Taylor, who was a true freshman on Miami's team, didn't even play or start. So I use that as an example to say even the best teams of more recent eras, their best player on defense was a true freshman when Miami's true freshman was a potential Hall of Famer, didn't even play. That shows you that we were an older team, and because that was pre-portal, pre-NIL, you had the depth as well.
Yeah, so that begs another question. Back in that 2000, 2001 era, and then I'll, get back to the task at hand, which is the excitement that's going on now. But back in that 2000, 2001 era, you had arguably, some of the best players. But before that, you had a standout now that's on the sidelines, a Hall of Famer, Michael Irvin.
Yep.
What do you think
the
about
second official mascot now, next to the Ibis, is Michael Irvin on the sidelines, right?
Yeah, whipping stadiums. Giving
well, I think that's part of like the new entertainment. Like we're talking about the celebrity factor, the entertainment factor of watching the Canes. I think Michael Irvin's a part of that, right?
That's for sure.
What do you think about the Michael Irvin factor? That whole kind of everyone kind of coming back and giving us this extra boost.
I mean, that's how he is. So I don't think it's for the cameras. I mean, obviously he's a performer, so he knows when the cameras are around. He knows that part of it, but he's not fake with it. This is how he is when the cameras are off. So I think that's a big part of it. The team respects it because he's always there. He's always, again, he acts the same way on camera that he does off camera. He's done it. The guy's in great shape. He has like a 6-pack. When he took off his shirt to hit this thing, he looked like he was 20 years old. So he could probably still play a little bit. But yeah, I think it's been great. And like you said, it's when you're watching on TV and wherever, Ohio, New York, Chicago, whatever it is, it's an entertaining product because of things like that. The belt to A and all that. It's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah. And even other guys like Edgerrin James is around, obviously Warren Sapp is there, you see him on the sidelines. So it feels like that just part of the aura, right, of having these guys around the team. And like you said, it's authentic because these guys really care about these young players and they kind of help coach them on the sidelines. So it feels like a family environment.
Yeah, so moving forward, this is, after we win the national championship, but moving forward with the Canes, what are you forecasting? What are you seeing? The transfer portal has made things interesting, but what are you seeing moving forward with the Canes?
Like you said, it's a whole new team always with the transfer portal. So that's delayed a little bit with the Canes. It's open, but you're not seeing as much action that you would normally see with the Canes because they're focused on playing. I think they're doing things, but it's being undercover just because they don't want distractions. So that will heat up after this. But I think they're built to last. Just the way they recruit, the way they consistently acquire talent, this culture of violence and just hitting and physicality. I think that's something that you can keep going on. You bring back Malachi Tony. There's a lot of other young players that are making plays during this run. Your whole secondary is pretty much back. You're going to need to replace great players, but that's what happens when you're a championship team. So I think they've now moved into that echelon, and with the way they recruit, with the way they spend money, the way they've seen that money get returns, I don't expect, and this football, there's ups and downs, guys get hurt, things don't work out the way you expect, but overall, I don't think you're going to see Miami go back to the pack because they're just going to spend too much and they're going to work too hard to keep at this level and just play in this sandbox. Going to the Final Four, trying to win a championship, that doesn't happen every year, obviously, but I think they're firmly entrenched now going for it as a blue blood program again.
Oh, absolutely. And I think just making this run is basically the best sales tool they could have right now in terms of recruits, right? And really also just establishing, I think, that commitment that the university made to a coach like Cristobal and his vision finally coming to life, right? After all these years.
Absolutely.
I think it happened really fast, to be honest. I think to get to this point.
It's what Cristobal's fourth season now is his fourth season, right?
Yeah, I think it's his fourth season.
Yeah, fourth season.
Yeah, even if it was his fifth season, to get to the semifinals, it's huge. It's tremendous, and it's a testament. And the new era, so the transfer portal era, and trying to adjust to what that is, that has to be also difficult, knowing that he came from, he was a player on the Canes, and he went through also the Nick Saban system,
yep.
which is I don't want to say old school. Love Saban, maybe one of the the best of all time. But that system was dependent on players matriculating through the way college football was.
Absolutely.
I think Nick Saban, the year after, or maybe the year of NIL being announced, he's like, "I'm out. That's
Yeah, he was
it.
done.
I can't do it."
Right.
So yeah,
A new era.
a new era.
Powered by Cuban Cafecito. That's like the secret magic, right?
That's right. Cristobal's dropping those cafecitos like crazy. And he needs an NIL deal. You don't necessarily have to worry about anyone's eligibility with the coaches, but maybe I'll have to send him a little bit of cash and get a little bit of endorsement for our podcast. But what's interesting to me is this is the second season where you have the quarterback as a launching pad from the University of Miami Hurricanes. And so, you had Cam Ward, who was the #1 draft pick, and now Carson Beck came to the Canes. I think a big reason for that was, for his kind of stock to rise a bit. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen with that quarterback position for next season. You have any ideas
That's the hot
on that?
question. I think the timing of this has made it tricky because of the Mighty still playing. This is a good problem to have, but I think that's why you're hearing it quiet. So that is the #1. I just did a show about it this morning. That is, aside from trying to beat Ole Miss and win a championship, that's the #1 question going on. I don't have any insight on it right now because they're doing it so quietly, and I think it's still sorting itself out. The musical chairs are still rolling. So it's nothing like imminent. There's not a person that's been targeted that's in the portal that's you could say this is the person. It's just a little delayed because of the way Miami's playing football, which is, again, a good problem to have. But I think you'll see that heat up probably after this game if Miami wins or loses. But hopefully they win. It'll be after this game before the final.
They'll have their pick of the litter.
They should, right?
They should.
Yeah. So I just have to give my my Canes big props. So you'll see the Canes hat. You got the shirt. You got the pin.
There you go. Canes influencer. You got to link
You got
it to
the
your
shoes.
There you go. Love
the
it.
shoes. You got the
Oh God,
the bottle. Again, legacy. Myself, my daughter, even my little one. I have a 5-year-old. Man, we'll see.
There you go.
Yeah, my oldest. She was born when I was a student.
Oh,
So
wow.
I would bring her to classes, and then she ended up taking some of the same classes I would bring her to as a kid.
Oh, wow. Look at that. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I bleed orange and green. We bleed orange and green in these 305 streets.
Love it, man. I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. It's going to be a good, hopefully a good day tomorrow for the Canes. And now she gets to see, she hasn't really been alive for the Canes being very good. So she gets to experience that and the whole, her age group.
Well, yeah, I didn't even think about that because
there's a whole generation that missed the greatness until
the youngest was, but she was on campus during that 2000-2001 season. The oldest one was, and now the youngest one is born into this new generation.
There you go.
There you go. Exactly. Yep. So
awesome.
Really,
thanks, D Money. We really appreciate you, man.
Yeah. Thanks for taking the time out.
No, appreciate you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So safe travels out west to the desert and go Canes.
Yeah,
Go
we got to
Canes.
have you back on the other side, man.
Let's go. Hope we got another game to talk about.
Go Canes.
Go Canes.
Man.
Great one.
We needed that.
Yes. Refreshing.
Inject that orange and green straight to the veins.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Canes. Yes.
What a run. Great interview. D Money's amazing. Definitely follow those guys, CanesInSight. I know they're on X, different platforms, but they're on the money, pardon the pun, when it comes to Canes analysis.
And that's his podcast, CanesInSight. So certainly you all have to look that up, especially now. This turned out to be another historic run. And
yes.
Not just
D Money, baby.
Not just a comeback. Don't call it a comeback. They've been here for years.
They've been here for years. Yes, I got to shout out to my partner, Patty Arias, who introduced us to D Money. So, shout out to Patty and, of course,
PA,
the MMFM, who's also, by the way, a UM alumni just like
That's
us.
right. There you go.
Patty's an alum. So
Yeah,
we
but
want
we
to
have to give a roll call, man.
entertainment UM roll call. Let's
We
do it.
got to give a roll call, a U roll call. One of the biggest to always shout out the Canes, and also was a player for the Canes, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He was on a historic team himself, historic seasons. He did go on. He got injured, so NFL, CFL. He got injured,
Right.
so he had to pivot, and then I
To
guess
sports entertainment, the perfect crossover
his
guy to
career
start.
took a nosedive from there. I don't know who
I
that guy
know.
is.
What the hell's the WWE and any of that nonsense?
Yeah. He did a couple of little tiny movies. But we also have to give a shout out to someone he met there at the school, Danny Garcia. They went on to
Right.
get married. So they
That's
met
right.
at the U. They wanted to get married. That relationship blossomed into a business relationship. So although the romantic part of the relationship did not continue, it has been a fruitful business relationship. She's one of the most powerful women in entertainment. They have not only created an indelible company, $7 production. It's named $7 because that's how much money The Rock had when he was done at the CFL. His career was shot. He didn't know what he's going to do next. He had $7 left. So $7 Productions. Danny Garcia has really done tremendous things. We look to try to interview both of them at some point. XFL team, and so they are also sports team
Tequila
owners.
brands. Yeah, a bunch of stuff.
Tequilas, yeah, the list goes on and on and on. We have to give also a shout out to one of the bigger names ever to do it in Hollywood, Sylvester Stallone. He went through the hallowed halls of the orange and green.
From The Rock to Rocky.
From The Rock to Rocky. I love it. The pun master at it again, to always turn in a phrase. Turned with Gloria Estefan
Yes.
of the Miami Sound Machine fame, and she's gone on to be a pretty big actress herself. And so I guess we're looking to do a big interview with her at some point. Got to get all the Canes now, so let's see if we can get them all in this year. Pharrell,
That's right.
Frost School of Music,
That's right.
man.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? Pharrell, I've had cross paths with Pharrell. I actually learned a big lesson from him. Back in the day when I was in front of the camera, I did stand in for Pharrell, and he accomplished a feat that no one on the set could accomplish. I don't know what you call that sculpture where you have a ball and then you let it drop and it hits 4 balls and the other one comes out on the other
Like the
side.
pendulum?
Yeah, maybe it's called the pendulum. But I, as a stand-in, was asked to try to do that, and I just couldn't. It just kept slipping out of my hands. The second AD got mad. He came and he tried. The first AD tried it. He couldn't do it either. The director really got pissed. He's like, oh, man, you all are crazy. We got to do this. And it was taking time. Everybody was on it. Then he couldn't do it. Everybody was like, oh. Pharrell came in. Beep, beep, first time. Caught it. I was like, this is crazy. This is crazy.
Oh,
but it's
yeah.
a big lesson on focus. You know,
Yeah.
this guy's just laser focused on whatever he does. Well, now we see he's also a Cane, so that focus makes sense. Ray Liotta.
Back to the acting side. Ray Liotta. Yeah.
The late, great Ray Liotta.
Yes. And I have a little story because Ray Liotta and Stephen Bauer, who also was very involved in the theater program. So apparently they put together back in their day, they were there at the same time, what was considered, even to this day, the greatest play ever put on at the Ring Theater at the University of Miami, which is Of Mice and Men. Apparently, that was Ray Liotta and Stephen Bauer. That it was the best performance I think that they've ever seen at the U was when those guys came together to do that play when they were studying at the University of Miami. So imagine seeing a young Ray Liotta and a young Stephen Bauer before Scarface, before Goodfellas. to the most iconic gangster movies of all time, right? And seeing these young bucks going at it on the noble boards at the U.
Wow. Ray Donovan. Stephen Bauer, of course, being an alum. I had a crazy night with Stephen Bauer one night. Just on a lark, man. I went down to the Key West Film Festival, and they had this, after event at this bar there. Stephen Bauer held court. Man, that guy could party. It's crazy.
Yeah, I got him into a little bit of trouble in Hollywood later on. Yeah, but
he just
got
took
out,
over.
right?
He took over the. This is back in his Ray Donovan days, but he just kind of took over the whole bar. Just so enigmatic, man. Like everybody was like, this is a pretty big bar too, restaurant bar, and everybody was just like Stephen Bauer, napkins up in the air. The whole night is crazy. So we're gonna move on. David Nutter.
Oh yes, Game of Thrones, amongst others.
Oh my God, one of my favorite episodes of television ever, The Red Wedding.
Oh yeah, director, executive producer, and he just put on some of the most iconic moments in television history.
One of the most storied directors of television in history, not just out of but that Red Wedding, which goes down as one of the biggest episodes in television history. I mean, this guy is a juggernaut. I believe he also directed the pilot episode of Game of Thrones. He's a pilot specialist. So, orange and green all the way through, though. We had the Red Wedding, but, it was really orange and green.
Yeah. Who else we got behind the camera there?
Yeah. So behind the camera, we have Malcolm Jones. I know him, too. Storied music video director. He also was producer on a animated film that was nominated for an Oscar. And then it went on to become, television show and all these things. So Malcolm Jones, who has directed some of the biggest music videos in history. And while he was at the U, he's already really hitting the ones and twos with music videos. So we got to give it to Malcolm Jones. Behind the camera, Max Landis.
Right.
Max Landis. So Creative Chronicle. Chronicle was one of the films that launched Michael B. Jordan's career.
Right.
Yeah, his career is so big. He's had careers already. And so, Michael B. Jordan there in Chronicle. So Max Landis, incredible writer. We have David Isaacs.
Right.
Huge. Cheers, Frasier. So some of the biggest shows of all time. And then I have to give a special shout out to my homie Finesse Mitchell. Mitchell. Finesse, went on to do big things. He was also a player, and he was a walk-on, actually. He was a walk-on. And so Finesse then went on to be a player there in Saturday Night Live. So he was a regular on Saturday Night Live, I believe, from 2003 to 2006.
Yeah.
And then he went on to do TV, stand-up, of course. He had a Showtime special. Super funny, so check it out. Showtime special. TV, The Game, Blackish. So,
right.
He came in, did Blackish. All About the Andersons, The Real House Husbands of Hollywood.
Great credits.
Yeah, great credits. I
have another former football player that made it big and or was big, perhaps. Legacy, Rohan Marley.
Rohan! Yeah.
Of
I
course,
used to play basketball
Marley,
with him.
Yeah, his son, who played at the U as well on the football team.
Yeah, we definitely have to shout out Rohan. He was a beast, linebacker, small for that position, and I know he fought for that position. I think that they were trying to put him at corner initially, and he really fought for that position. And he crushed other sides. Had to say broke necks. He was hardcore, and so we got to give a shout out to him. I remember playing basketball with him back in the day, Palmetto basketball courts.
Oh, we got to mention another homie behind the camera that we've actually interviewed here, Matthew Stein. Matt Stein,
Stein. Yes.
executive producer. He was for a time at Dimension Films, worked on the Scream franchise, a bunch of great movies, and moved on to Sony Pictures International. And then, he had an interesting run over at Live Nation as well. And now is running 50 Cent's production company,
Yeah,
G-Unit.
G-Unit, that's right. So he heads G-Unit.
Film and television. Yeah.
Yeah. So big shout out to Matt Stein. He was one of our first interviews, actually, so you can go back and listen. But we have to now re-interview him. So let's check this list off, man. Let's see what we can hit for this historic season of the Miami Hurricanes.
Yes. Everyone we mentioned is invited to participate in a future episode of Screen Heat Miami. There you go.
And we're going to go after them, too. So look for us to interview, a lot of those people on that list. We do also have to give a shout out, although he was not a student, he taught at Terrell Alvin McCraney. So Terrell, we interviewed him, so you all can go back and listen to that. And so Terrell Alvin McCraney won an Oscar for Moonlight. He also had a TV show, David Makes Man.
Great show. Yeah.
Great show. Wrote a movie and produced this film along with Steven Soderbergh. And so, go back and look at his catalog. Go back and listen to his podcast.
Oh, if we're going professors, we got to mention Bill O'Dowd, who's huge media executive and producer as well, who Dolphin Entertainment executive produced a ton of great stuff and owns some of the top PR firms, including 42 West, which represents tons of celebrities, Tom Hanks and a bunch of Meryl Streep and a bunch of people. So
if not the top PR.
The top. Yeah, I would say the number one entertainment. We had one of their amazing publicists, Hilda Somarriba, at the Miami Film Festival earlier this year, one of our master shots. So she was fantastic. But what a great company that he's built over the years, and still to this day teaches entertainment law at the U.
Yeah, and we have to say, Emmy-nominated shows.
That's right.
And so his production arm, has some Emmy nominations under their belt. You got to get Bill on this show. He was not a professor of mine in the official capacity, but while I was at UM is such that you could take 21 credits a semester. So every semester I was there, I was taking 21 credits. He let me sit in on his class.
Yeah.
And so I was at his class, every schedule point there. Just a super cool guy. So we need to get him on. He's a juggernaut as well.
Yeah. A lot of entertainment titans that have come out of the U.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So we'll go back. We'll get some of those guys. Let's see if we can get some of the players. And I'll see if I could tap some of these players that were in my music video, Here Comes the Hurricanes. We have 4 players in that video that went on into the NFL, as we just mentioned. And so great episode. We are so happy here at Screen Heat Miami. We are Canes. We love to see this excellence. We knew that the Canes would be back. And as Cristobal said, it's about the Canes now and moving forward. So,
oh, yes.
I'm Kevin Sharpley.
I'm J.O. Martinez.
This is Screen Heat Miami 2026. We'll hear you, and we will see you on the next one.
We will see you.
See you.
Go Canes.
Boom.